Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate in on the discussion, like all these wonderful people here, Pretty Girl's mom, Barb, Christy, Our Tiny Acres, all checking in, saying hi. I hope everybody's having a great day. You can, but if you'd like to join the live stream, you can join me most weekdays when I go live at 4 p.m. Central Time. Or outside of the live stream, if you'd like to reach out to me, you can consider joining our Discord. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, if you're interested in getting some ideas of the meals that we eat on our whole food plant-based diet, we have a Pinterest board that there's a link for that down in the description below as well. That is a great place to get some recipe ideas. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, it is weigh-in Wednesday. I'm about to hop on the scale here and see how I did this past week. But if you have any on-scale victories you'd like to share, I'd love to hear those as well. If you've been struggling to get started or stay on track, what's going on? What's keeping you from staying on track or getting started? And what are some of the things that you are going to do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Like I said, it is weigh-in Wednesday, so we're going to go ahead and hop on the scale. My internet stuff has been a little bit wonky. I don't know how far behind this is. I just hit the button to close that. So it is a little behind. Let me move the scale. Very busy day. Did not have a lot of time to get this set up. And then because everything I did, it wasn't working. So that's why I got started late here. Real quick, Barb says, or Chrissy said she was on time, and then Barb said she was 2 for 7 in a while, and nobody's here. Glad you were here. You two are here. Great. Yeah, so just a quick recap here. I started my diet on November 1st of 2020. I had a starting weight of 519.8 pounds. Through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose 215 pounds so far. So I'm going to hop on the scale here. I had a pretty good weight loss last week. I'm on day 694 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. And 28 days ago, I recommitted to the diet. I was allowing some junk food into my diet, and I know that I need to clean up the diet if I want to continue to lose weight. So at the beginning of September, I recommitted to sticking to the whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free, and it's been going great so far. I'm expecting a loss today. I have no idea what the scale is going to say. I might weigh twice just because sometimes my scale is finicky, and see what it says. But yeah, let's figure it out. So 2 times in a row, it was 303.2. So that is 1 3.6 pounds down, or we'll just say 1.5 pounds down. 303.2. So down 1.5 pounds in the past week. I'm very happy with that result. I'm going to get this off to see if I feel like the stream quality is crappy. Let me see if I disconnect from that, what happens? Okay, so can you guys still follow with me here? I'm just going to give it 1 second to try to catch up. So I'm going to go to the main. Let me hide this. Hit the right buttons. Here we go. So 1.6 pounds down in the past 7 days. I am very happy with that result. I was kind of expecting maybe even a little bit more because I have not eaten a lot of food today, which I was thinking I might see a little bit more of a drop just because of that. It was a very busy day today, and I've been running around everywhere. Dawn checking in says you're new here. Thanks, Dawn. I'm glad you were able to join the stream here. He says you're seriously thinking of going whole food, plant-based yourself. I highly recommend it. I never would have imagined that I would be saying that I highly recommend eating a plant-based diet. It was not my intention when I started losing weight, but it is absolutely the best choice that I could have made. So I would highly encourage eating a plant-based diet. There's some great books to read. Joel Fuhrman has a great book. I think it's Eat to Live was one of the first books that I read. I felt like that was a really good book. If you have any hormonal issues, the book I read recently, Your Body in Balance by Neil Barnard, is very good as well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. I'd be happy to answer to the best of my ability. And if I can't, sometimes, many of the people that watch this and encourage me are far better at doing this than I am. So they can give you some good advice too. So, yes, lots of congratulations, Carrie, Our Tiny Acres, Barb, Christy, Pretty Girl's mom. Thank you so much for the encouragement. I really appreciate all you guys checking in and following along. It keeps me committed to sticking to the diet, and it really is a big part of why I feel like I've been succeeding. I don't know what is going on with my phone. It's trying to do something crazy here. So 1.6 pounds down. I ate so much food this past week. It's been crazy to be able to eat the volume of food that I ate and still be able to have the scale go in the right direction and see a 1.5 pound weight loss. I need to keep or continue on with a 1.5 or better. I'm getting error messages on my screen here that I don't think are very important. Rick checking and saying hi. Hi, Rick. I hope you're having a great day. So 1.5 pounds in the past week is pretty crazy. Really, considering the amount of food that I have eaten, it's awesome to be able to have bowls of potatoes and broccoli and Spanish rice and polenta and oh my, Rick says he's running from a hurricane. Yeah, I heard some snippets on my phone throughout the day about it. I heard it's getting pretty bad down there. So I hope that you are able to get away from the hurricane. I hope that you're not running on foot and that you have a vehicle or some mode of transportation, because I don't know how successful I would be running away from a hurricane on foot. Yeah, I hope that you're able to be somewhere safe and stay safe until it passes through the area. I'm really frustrated because I'd like to be showing you some of the food that I've had over the past week, but I don't know that my system is going to allow for it and still have a good connection. So I'm going to try this one more time. I will let it connect, and then if it throws off my overall connection again, I will have to disconnect it. But yeah, we had, I actually took this collage photo. I don't know that it will show up very good. Let's try. Let's see what happens when I do this. And I'd have to hit the right buttons to get it to do it. So let's see if it pops up. So anyways, I had put a collage photo together the other day just to kind of show a bunch of the foods that I have been enjoying on my plant-based diet. This is going to be up for a second because I didn't realize it was connecting. So, but being able to have full plates of food is absolutely something that I'm not used to when eating a diet and still seeing weight loss success, seeing my weight go down in the direction that I would like to see it go down. Let me know, guys, if this connection is all jacked up now, because it's telling me it is. But real quick, while I have it hooked up, I'm going to go ahead and go through the rest of the food that I took photos of since yesterday. And there's not a whole lot that I took photos of, but yesterday we did end up having oh, that's really annoying. Let's see if it's going to switch. It's not going to switch. So we had mega veggie chili last night for dinner. I am just going to give up on the wireless and have to work on fixing those problems for another day. Barb says, all of a sudden I am breaking up. Yes. And you're not getting much audio. Yeah. I'm trying to do things that my computer is not happy that I'm doing. And so, I'm just going to have to, yeah, Carrie says that maybe if you log out and log back in, it'll start working. Barb says that's what she did, and it's working good. Yeah, it's, I guess, internet connection stuff, but I trying to be hardwired into the system, but my phone connects to the internet through a router, and that's the only way I have to be connected to the router in order for me to put my photos up on the screen as of right now, until I find a better solution. So food since yesterday, mega veggie chili. Had a couple bowls of mega veggie chili last night. It was very good. Same thing I say about mega veggie chili every time. It was a food that it was, when I first started switching, I guess, Dawn, if you're still watching, what will happen a lot of times when you switch to a plant-based diet, specifically, I know from my experience with switching to a plant-based diet with no added salt, oil, and sugar, that lots of the foods when you first start eating that diet are not really exciting in comparison to what you had been eating. They are really not going to give you any of the same sensory pleasures or as many sensory pleasures as what our standard diet is. So when you switch to eating a plant-based diet with no added salt, oil, sugar, then the overall taste of the food changes. And the book, The Pleasure Trap, that I also recommend, they describe it similar to how your eyes adjust when you go from a dark room to a light room. It takes time for your eyes to adjust to the new light. And when you're in that adjustment period, it's very blinding and it's very disorienting. But, our brains are able to take that information and they're able to adjust and make those adjustments within seconds, so that when you walk from a dark room to a bright room, you're blind for just a few seconds, but then you can see again. Well, those same things happen with our taste buds. When you're used to being in a room where the lights are very bright and blinding, or when you're eating a diet that's very high in calories and very high in stimulants, then it's like being in a bright room with light shining on you. And when you walk into the dark room, all you see is darkness. And when you switch from eating these high sensory foods, you are going to be eating low sensory foods, and that's like walking into that dark room. And with our eyes, we can adjust within moments. With our taste buds, it takes time for that adjustment to happen. And from what my experience was, it was about 2 weeks. A lot of people say it's 2 to 3 weeks before your body actually adjusts to the new taste, to the new food. So the food may seem very boring at the beginning, and Mega Veggie Chili was a food that at the beginning was a very boring food for me. But now it's one of my favorite foods. After a few weeks of eating this diet, I went from being like, okay, I guess I'll eat that, to being like, wow, I really enjoy that. There's also other factors too, not just the taste buds changing, but the other factors I like to bring up when I talk about this is that you will also get better at preparing the food. So if you're making a recipe and it's the first time you ever use quinoa, you might screw up making quinoa the first time. Or if it's the first time you've used I had it in my mind, bulgur wheat. You've never used that. It's something we use in the Mega Veggie Chili. It might not work right the first time. The other is that a lot of times we're getting recipes from the internet, and we like to think of these recipes as being, one set recipe solves all of the solutions, because there are so many foods out there that's the thing. You do it to the recipe that's on the box, and then it makes it perfect. That's how you make a cake. That's how you make macaroni and cheese. You do it by what the box says. You follow the directions. And we try to do that with recipes. And many times you're able to mimic the taste that person was trying to create, but that person's preferences might be a little bit different than yours. Maybe they don't like a lot of onion in their food, and so they only put a 1/4 cup of onion in it. When you have the meal, you may try it and think, it was okay, I wish it was better. You can either shelve that recipe and never do it again, or you can take those recipes and you can tweak them a little bit. And you can say, maybe if I would have used corn instead of another ingredient, I would have enjoyed it more. If I would have added another 1/2 cup of onion, if I would have, made a substitution that fits my taste preference, then I can take a recipe that somebody else created and make it my own. And so then a meal goes from being something that you don't like or would only try occasionally to maybe being a staple item on your diet. So That's something that whenever I feel like when I talk about mega veggie chili, I feel like I have to talk about that because it's a very important part of this. And also Dawn being here talking about switching to a plant-based diet. It's not like you're all of a sudden gonna love the food. I mean, and over time, like you have to also um change some of your mentality about things. One of the things that we haven't had in a while, and now that I mention it, it'll probably be something we have, but we haven't had just a regular salad in a while. And part of it is because uh when we were eating a salad, there was a mustard dressing that we were using that I am trying to avoid some of the stuff that we use to make that mustard dressing. But for me, I still mentally have this uh, thought process about how awful salad is. It's just, rabbit food kind of thing. But when I sit down and I eat one of our salads that's filled with spinach and red peppers and onions and corn and cucumbers and just wonderful, great vegetables, uh, it's so enjoyable. Like every time that Carrie says we're having salad, I'm like, oh, salad, I wish we were having something warm, something nice, something uh, a little more uh, hearty feeling, I guess. But then as soon as I sit down and I start eating that salad, and they're not small salads, it's lots of food. They are very hearty. It's it's definitely a mindset that I have coming in that is unfounded at this point because of the volume that we eat with our diet. Um, so we had mega veggie chili for dinner. Then today I had oatmeal for uh, breakfast, and then that's all I've had today. So this past week I've been eating a lot of lunch and had been having a couple potatoes and broccoli during the day. Today I was unable to do that, so I have not eaten since breakfast. So I'm water fasting. I'm 5 hours into a water fast, or I guess probably longer than that. It's like 8 hours into a water fast, and that's gonna go for about 9, and then I'm gonna be eating when I get home. Um, the Yeah, I'm so happy with having a pound and a half weight loss. I'm really happy with the diet. I'm happy how things are going. Something that I'm wrestling with that's been I went to the store last night, and uh I had to pick up some stuff for our kids for school today, and I walked by, they had a display that was for beef jerky that was like set up. It was designed to almost look like an Oregon Trail wagon, like a carriage, like a horse-drawn buggy kind of thing. And it had all this beef jerky meat like hanging from it and falling out the sides of it, and it was just this big pile of meat. And it's so crazy to me how much excess of that we have, and how it's so presented like it's some sort of healthy, like go back to the old west kind of like the way our ancestors used to eat. Like if they ever would have had a beef jerky, it was nothing like the beef jerky that we eat now. And it was um I just um I don't know, but it's just so wild to me. I feel so brainwashed by eating this diet, with as far as like uh it's not brainwashed. I feel like I'm kind of becoming unbrainwashed, like that it's crazy that that's so normal, that it's so like just disposable too, you know, like there's so much of that that's just goes to waste and was unnecessary, like to go to waste. And I don't know, it's been something more. And then another thing, I guess, just to go on with the veganism thing, I had read Ed Winter's book, This is Vegan Propaganda. And one of the um, topics that he talked about in vegan propaganda was going to animal farms and doing those but there's farm sanctuaries, but then there is so this time of year is October and it's Halloween time, and so people are going to pumpkin patches and um they are picking out pumpkins and they're taking photos with these cutouts. But one of the other things that they do a lot of times is they have goats and lambs or sheep that you can pay money for food for those animals and then feed those animals. And I remember at the time, I actually have a video that I made a while back of our family trip to a pumpkin patch, and a big part of the video is my kids feeding and petting those lambs. And it wasn't until I read the book This is Vegan Propaganda by Ed Winters that he kind of pointed out that um, those lambs that we were petting, those were eventually going to be turned into meat to be eaten, and likely that they would be people's Easter meal coming up. And that not only were they raising these animals and feeding these animals to then be sold as a commodity, I guess, they were lessening their cost to raise these animals because they were getting us to pay them money for the feed for the animal so that we could feed the animal. So it was actually making it more profitable for the farmer to have those lambs out for kids to feed, and everybody thinks they're feeding this beautiful little lamb and how great, and it's going to grow up and have this wonderful life, and it's not going to grow up. It's going to make it another 6 months and then it's going to see you later. And so I'm really apprehensive about, like, I want to go get pumpkins with my kids and I want to do the Halloween stuff, but I don't want to go to a pumpkin patch again and have to deal with like the weirdness of it. Like, and had I not read that book, I don't know that I would have necessarily put those things together. And it's been an interesting part of this whole weight loss challenge, is experiencing some of this other stuff. Pretty Girl's mom here has a recipe for a great mustard salad dressing. They said to use 2 tablespoons of Dijon, 2 tablespoons of lemon, basil, balsamic, 2 tablespoons of water, and some garlic, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of date syrup, and you shake it up. That sounds really good. Yeah, we've had a mustard dressing we use that I'm not exactly sure all the ingredients in there, but I know we use like a date syrup or a maple syrup to sweeten it a lot of times. But I'm not sure what the rest of it's made up of, if it's got seeds in it or what. But it's just something we haven't had a salad in a long time. It just hasn't come up to have a salad in a long time. I'm seeing if I have anything else here to talk about. Tahini and maple syrup. And I'm trying to avoid the tahini, and so that's why we're not doing the salad dressings here. Our Tiny Acre says that, don't know about your area, but there are pumpkin patches without the eating the animals. Oh yeah, and I'm sure that there is pumpkin patches around here that don't have the animal feeding, and I know we can go to a garden center that has lots of pumpkins, that they do lots of other stuff for Halloween. I we'll get it figured out. It just that whole having that realization about it was interesting. And we actually had another odd thing without one of our neighbors has alpacas, and the Carrie says last year we went to one that didn't have a petting zoo. Yeah. That we have a neighbor that has alpacas, and they had like a like alpaca days kind of thing at their property. And it was a little bit, we didn't end up going. One of my kids ended up going because they were with some other people. But it was one of those kind of like 2 years ago, sure, we would have been over there. Kids would have been playing on the bounce house. We would have been doing stuff. But now we're kind of like, they have those alpacas for a reason, and it's not because they think they're cute. Maybe that's 5% of the reason why, is because they think they're cute. But the other 95% of the reason why they have them there is because it's not costing them any money, and likely is making them money in some way. So, it's tough, because it's not like direct. It's not like they're running a slaughterhouse, or that they're having, that they have beef stock animals there. They're cute little fluffy animals. But again, I'm sure once those animals stop producing profit for the owners, they're going to have a hard time keeping them around. So, right. Yeah. So our tiny acres is farm sanctuaries are definitely different. They're for the animals, and you help pay to feed them, to keep them alive. Yeah. Farm sanctuaries are far different than a lot of these pumpkin patches or these other farms. We are actually going to a farm sanctuary in the end of October for a trunk or treat that we are taking our kids up there, and we're very excited about meeting some of the animals that we have been following on their social media. So we're very excited about going to a farm sanctuary and doing a Halloween trunk or treat, which is great because it kind of kills two birds with one stone. We've been telling our kids that we're going to go to this farm sanctuary for the last year, and we're actually going to be going there now. And then it also gives our kids a chance to do some trick or treating, get some candy and things that are vegan, that they can enjoy. And because our oldest was already kind of lamenting the idea of going trick or treating, because they only get to keep half or 25% of what they actually get, because a lot of times people just hand them candy. So I'm looking forward to having a fun event for them to do, have it be kind of wrapped into this kind of the cruelty-free lifestyle that we're trying to live. We're not quite there, but I'm getting better. And it's awkward still to kind of identify in that way. But I don't have any, I'm trying to think of what the word is. I may hesitate to somebody, but I don't have any shame. Like, I don't have any, like, if I'm in a room and somebody were say, well, hey, that guy's a vegan, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm vegan, because it saved my life. Like, it there's no other way of eating that would have changed my life as much as this way of eating has. Like, being vegan was a side effect of me eating a plant-based diet. But I have no problem standing there letting people know that eating this way can change your life. It can take you from 519.8 to 303.2 pounds in less than 2 years. And that's pretty awesome that I've been able to do that through eating a plant-based diet. Well, I kind of rambled on about being a vegan there for a little bit, but it was, I audibly, like when I walked around this thing and I saw all this beef jerky hanging on it at the grocery store, I would look at it, I was just like, this is just ridiculous. It's just unnecessary, and I'm sure with the way it's packaged and it's because it's beef jerky, it can sit there for months and not go bad. But that's just going to the grocery store is more difficult than I ever thought it was going to be. And I thought it was going to be more difficult because of all the temptations that were going to be around. And that's not the problem. It's more difficult because of all of the crap food and and then having to, and then like not having, that's not the right word. then seeing people that you just wish you could help, I mean, it's it's amazing the number of times that I've seen somebody who's more than likely over 400 pounds or as much as heavy as I was before. And I just want to walk up to them and just have a card to hand them that has like a before and after photo and just be like, doesn't have to be that way, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to keep failing the way that I'm sure you've been failing for years, because I was just constantly bombarded with losing, The pretty girl's mom says the meat dairy best worship. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, and for me, it really, the wastefulness of it also was something that, again, when it was pointed out to me, I thought, how was I blind to this? And the wastefulness is in that if you feed a cow 100 calories of food, those 100 calories of food doesn't turn into 100 calories of edible cow. Out of that 100 calories, you might get 1 or 2 more calories of cow out of that 100 calories. Whereas if we as a people, or as if I would have just eaten that 100 calories, I also would not have gotten 100 calories from it. And I may have only gained 1 or 2 calories worth of weight because of the 100 calories I had, but I burned that energy. I burned 50, 80% of those calories, and I actually used them. Whereas the way it's set up now, we give those calories to the cow for them to use them. Then we take those calories. So you take that cow that it took tens and hundreds of thousands of calories to produce to get it as big as it is. And then I eat 100 calories of cow. I still only retain, half of that, or even if you said it was higher, even if you said it was 80% of that, like I'm retaining 80% of something that only retained 2% of what it ate. And so, or that was only able to pass on 2% of what it ate to me because it had to use that food too. And it's, yeah. And the unhealthy junk food. Yes. The processed unhealthy junk food. And it's a real weird, like, I got talking to Carrie about this the other day that, I could go on for a long time. So there's the one book in particular, it was written by Michael Moss, and it's called Salt, Sugar, Fat, or Sugar, Salt, Fat. It's got those 3 words in the title of it. When when I read that book, it really, for me, just kind of pointed out how much that the industries are, they want you to be fat, and they want you to be struggling with being fat, because they're going to make the money making you fat on the food, and then they're going to make money on you failing at losing the weight. Or if you do succeed at losing the weight, they want you to fail at keeping the weight off, so you go back to the junk food. And a lot of that money goes, to these big corporations. And yeah, I was talking to Carrie that you could do a whole channel on these diet conspiracies, where it's just talking about, um, like what he talks about in that with the sugar content, how they just keep upping the sugar content, where one company will say, hey, we're not going to put any more sugar in this. We're already at 14 grams of sugar per serving in our breakfast cereal. We will not put more than 14 grams of sugar in our breakfast cereal. We'll add, 95 other chemicals that are highly sweetened and, don't have any calories, but, it affect the taste. But anyways, we aren't going to go over 14 grams of sugar, because that's where we're drawing the line in the sand. And then competitor B company comes around and says, hey, these guys over here, they're only putting 14 grams of sugar in their cereal. Let's go put 16 grams in, see what happens. So they start putting 16 grams of sugar in their food. And then company A starts seeing that they're losing market share. They go to their guys and say, why are we losing market share? And they say, well, company B showed up. They started making the same thing, but they put 16 grams of sugar in it instead of 14. So these kids that are eating this food, they're going after the 16-gram cereal, because they're the ones driving the purchases. And so the company that said, well, we're not going to cross 14 grams of sugar, now has to say, well, we can either stick with what we're having and keep losing that market share, or we can change that bar and we can go to 16, or maybe we'll do 17 grams of sugar just to edge them out a little bit, so we can get that back. And then it just becomes a war, and it has nothing to do with the consumer's health or their well-being. It has everything to do with the share of your stomach that they can take and the amount of money that they can take out of your pocket. And it's set up that it has to be that way too, because of the capitalism that we live in. Because if I am the CEO of big cereal company A, and my marketing guy comes up to me and says, hey, boss, we are losing money and we found a solution. And that solution is to increase the amount of sugar by 3 grams and start doing 17 grams of sugar. And we will get our market share back and our profits will go up. We just need you to sign off on it. And you're the big boss man, and you look at it and you say, because I'm concerned about the health of our customers, I am not going to increase the sugar in the cereal, and we are going to continue to sell the cereal as it was. And then it gets back to shareholder Jimmy, and shareholder Jimmy finds out that the guy that's in charge of making him money as a shareholder decided to make a decision that did not make him money. In fact, made a decision that lost him money. He can then get rid of that person that made that decision, or potentially even hold them liable for the losses that they incurred because they didn't make a more profitable decision. And how messed up is that our food system has this profit motive as part of it that gives zero concern about the consumer and all of the concern to the shareholder and the profit holder. So, but yeah, I could go on for a long time about that. And it's wild. They, these pharmaceuticals, they want us to be sick. They want us to be visiting the doctor, and you don't go to the doctor if you're healthy. You only go to the doctor if you're not feeling well. So let's get them food that makes them not feel well. But who knows? I mean, Let's see. I am going to get out of here. Janet says, great job. Another pound and a half. Yes, a pound and a half today. Very happy with that this past week. Hoping that I can continue that on and get under that 300 soon. I'm supposed to be on Chef AJ's show in like 3 weeks. And if I don't have any weight loss to show for it, I'm going to be real sad. So I want to be able to get on her show and say that I'm doing it right and it's going the right direction and it's going to keep going that way. So I think that's about all I have for today. If anybody does have any questions you want me to answer tomorrow, please go ahead. Feel free to leave them below. If you want me to talk more about the food conspiracies, I will, because I do find it interesting and sad at the same time. And there's so many of these things that we kind of know, like we were taught about marketing, about where they put products on the shelves. And we were taught about, using colors and characters to sell your products. But they have spent billions upon billions of dollars trying to figure out how to get each individual person to make the decision to purchase their product. And they will use all of those resources against us till the end of time. So I'm going to get out of here. Thanks everybody for following along. I am so happy I lost 1.6 pounds. I just got to do that 2 more times and I'll be back under 300. And I am planning on being live tomorrow. So I will be live tomorrow. Make sure that if you have not hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Also click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And also click on the thumbs up. Give this video a like. Let that YouTube algorithm know how wonderful you think these updates are. If you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nobody that reaches their goals, looks back and says they wish they would have waited. Everybody knows they should have started sooner. Everybody wishes they would have started sooner. Get started right now. Get rid of the junk food. Get good, healthy food to replace it. And enjoy eating an incredible volume of brightly colored and wonderful tasting foods by switching to a whole food plant-based diet. You guys all have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow.